Hey there, fellow marketers. Professor Wolters here, and today we're here in the Black Hills of South Dakota, here in Deadwood, an old mining town where they go get gold and then figure out how to spend it. And today we're going to talk about is how businesses spend their money on paid search. See, I found a connection there. And we had to figure out is, hey, how are these things working? We want to figure out the metrics to figure out is, how's our reach been? And like, how many people did we actually get a hold of, right? And then we also need to look at the response. What did people do, right? We want to make sure we're tracking that. And then we want to look at the money side. What is our results? We want to make sure we're making money. These investments in paid search are paying off, okay? So I'm going to go through each of these three R's. The first one is the reach, right? Getting out there. How many times are we getting seen? How many people are we getting in contact to? Like, that's what you're thinking about. And the first thing you got to think about is impressions, okay? And impressions is something that I've talked about in other videos, but really with this impression, you want to know is how many impressions do I get? How many times do I show up on paid search? Because if I'm paying for paid search, how many times do I actually show up? So Facebook, if you put a Facebook ad out there, they'll tell you, oh, by giving $50, we'll get you to 3,000 people or 10,000 people. And when they say that, they're meaning you'll get 3,000 to 5,000 impressions. It's not that people are going to click on it every time, but it will show up on their screen, i.e. it gets impressed onto their feed. And the thing is when you look at these impressions, when you're getting impressions back, you might want to check a few different things. One, you might look at the demographics. Who got it, right? Or you might look at is what device were they using? Was it a mobile device or a phone or a tablet? Because that can tell you a lot. Because if you see, wow, we're getting a lot of mobile ad traffic, maybe we need to make sure that our ads are really mobile friendly. Also, you might look at it in terms of, you don't usually just do one ad. You might have a group of ads at one time, or you might have different groups of ads, and you might want to test which one's getting more impressions. Is it my ad groups that focus on with videos, or is it the ones that focus on pictures, or the ones that focus on infographics? You can divide up your ad groups however you want. It could be ad groups going towards females or going to, plus 65s. You're looking at these kind of things, but overall, you want to know your reach in terms of impressions. How many times is it actually showing up on people's feeds, okay, on websites and stuff like that. Now, another thing you want to look at when you're reach, because impressions are nice, but if I'm here in Deadwood and there's like a ghost, tour, does it really help the ghost tour if they get impressions in India or they get impressions in Argentina? Probably not, because ghost tours are things that people do when they're in town. So we probably want to check the quality of our impressions. So what we'll do is we'll have an audited audience data, or we'll have audited audience data where we actually look into where are the impressions happening, what are the ages, who's seeing it. And I know sometimes you'll do that just in the normal impressions, but this is one time when you really audit it down. You want to know exactly who is seeing this. Is it people in here in Deadwood that are seeing the ghost tour advertisements, or is it people outside? Because that's what you're going to do to test the kind of quality of your ad impressions. Because yeah, people can promise you 50,000 impressions, but if it's 50,000 impressions in a country that no tourists come from, is it really worth it? That's why it's important that you have this audited audience data, so we can make sure that the ads were appropriately targeted for the audience we really want to get. Because just throwing your money out there doesn't really help. You want to make sure it's a targeted ad, okay, that it's going to get the biggest bang for the buck. Now, another thing you want to look at in terms of your kind of reach is you actually want to look at your average position. So on your search engine result page, like Google, page 1, page 2, page 3, where are you? Like, are you on the first page of Google? Are you in the top 10 results on Google or Bing or whatever you're looking for? That's what you want to check out, because look, you can have all the impressions you want, but if it's not showing up where people are actually searching through and getting on there, it might not be helping. So you want to make sure hey, is this paid promotion? Is this paid ads helping us get up higher in search engine results, okay? Because let's be honest, do you ever really go to the second page of Google? I mean, honestly. Some people don't even scroll down. It's crazy. Like, well, now you might scroll down a little, because now Google has so many ads on the top that you got to scroll down to find something else. So you really have to think about that. So your kind of average position in search is going to be important for your reach to see if we really are reaching people, okay? Now, moving on from reach, we want to look at response. And response, when people do something, what is the response, right? Do they click on something? Do they buy something? What do they do? And the first thing we want to look at is a click. Think about it. The number of times a user actually clicks on an ad. Yeah, it's not about, because the impression, they might see it, but click is they actually physically respond by clicking on that ad. You might have ads down below here offering stuff, or you might see an ad for a mask or a t-shirt or something. Did you actually click on it? So that's one thing you want to see is how many clicks did it get? How many clicks did that ad get? that helps you know the response, right? And so another thing we're going to look at is what we call the click-through rate. So the click-through rate is actually really important because what it does, it gives you a ratio of the number of clicks you get to the number of impressions you have. Look, oh look, we got 1,000 clicks. Yeah, but you had 10 million impressions. That's not really a good rate. Oh, I see. You want to make sure, because the higher the click-through rate, that means, hey, for the impressions that are out there, a lot of people are clicking on it, right? And so you might see it on YouTube. They'll talk about click-through rates like, hey, this video showed up 1 million times and 50,000 people clicked on it, which for YouTube, they're like, hey, that's actually okay. You kind of think about these things. But you want to be kind of gauging the click-through rate because that really shows you the quality, and it could tell you, we're having all these impressions, but we're only getting a few clicks. Maybe we need to change the wording, maybe we need to change the picture or the thumbnail or go for a different angle. That's what it's going to tell you. And another thing we look at response is what we call conversion rate. And conversion rate will really depend is what do you want the clients to actually convert to? Do you want them to subscribe? Do you want them to like? Do you want them to buy? Do you want them to click here to learn more? And whatever that thing you want them to do, you take that over the number of impressions. So the number of ads we put out there to actual sales, or number of sales to actually impressions, we do that to give us our conversion rate. How many impressions did we convert into sales? Okay, so you have that. And so we've got our reach, how we're out there, and we get the results doing something. Now we have to look at results. We want to look at the money side of things. And here we're going to start with obviously revenue. How much revenue can we actually link to our paid search and to that paid search channel, the search channel we used, or we did these things? Because you might see it's like, look, if I put it on Google, maybe we're not making as much money as we make off of being off the search results. Because this is one thing you got to think about, because what might seem obvious might not be the right thing to do. Like, well, obviously we want to be top on Google because that's what everybody uses. But if we do our analytics and we see that actually we make more revenue off of our Bing searches, why is that? How is that? It tells us a lot of things, but knowing the revenue that you can really attribute to your search engine channel or the search engine results kind of stuff really is helpful in terms of determining your budget, how much is it really worth to you, things like that. And that's why the next one I want to talk about is your return on investment. And here we're really looking at the money we made, at like our financial return we've got from all these investments, from the people, the creative, paying for the search, making those videos, all that money we put into this social media, or this paid search kind of stuff. How much money do we make back off of it? Our return on investment. We want to really figure what that is. And that's why it's really important you kind of track the hours that your workers are working, how much it costs to do these things, what are the when they do the auctions for all this kind of stuff, what's the real payoff for this? Because that's what you don't know. Is it worth it to us? And that ROI will really tell you if it's worth it to do it. But the thing is sometimes the return on investment isn't always going to be based on money. It could be, you might put in there like, look, visits to our store, visits to our site, subscribers we get on there. How much value do we put into that? Because that might be something also that kind of influences your return on investment. Yeah, and then you could go down to the more basic kind of stuff like your margins you have on things. You might want to track that in terms of, the difference between your revenue and your cost of goods sold that go onto this. So, you have some normal financial metrics as well to really come up with the results that are here, and if the results are giving you what you want. And then I want to finish off with talking about growth. I mean, think about it. That is a result. If our search is helping us grow, that's a benefit. And we want to know is how much are we growing? That's why I always say whenever you do, analysis on businesses and you're trying to figure out like how things are going, you always have to know where are we today. So you need to look at your analytics from you started this program. Where are we now? And then how much should we grow through this program we've done? Did that search really pay off? Did it help us grow? And so you might look at it that way. And growth can be a lot of different things. That's the thing when you're looking at social media and digital. There's there's selling your products and selling your services is one thing, but also you have to look at the value of that community spirit you're getting, and followers you have. What's our growth been in our followers? What's our growth been on our website? It hits on our website, impressions, and all this kind of stuff. We want to look at all these things and kind of determine the different types of growth we may have. Okay, so I hope this helped you know a few of the kind of paid search metrics you should be looking at in terms of reach, response, and results for you to have a better idea if your paid search is actually paying off. All right, so I'm going to go explore more of Deadwood, and here in South Dakota, I wish you all the best, and I'll say bye from here in Deadwood. Bye.